Hello, this is Rich Campy, CEO of Pro Advisor Coach, the Thinking Coach. You've made it to session number 9. Wow, congratulations if you made it this far. Always an opportunity to go back. This particular area of team mind scans is so powerful and so profound. And it's what, for me, back 23 years ago when I was first exposed to this type of science, really had a huge impact on my direction with my team and myself and how I coached and how I was leading, because I could start comparing, one to another within their thinking. And because the mind scan is so unique in that most tools that are out there are comparing one person to another to get a personality test. When you take the mind scan, you're not compared to anyone, but I can compare the actual results that come out, okay, which are not sampling of a population or comparing anyone to anyone else, but I can look at those results and understand. For example, if someone really values people, high empathy bias, and someone else devalues people, low empathy bias, they're probably going to have some colliding of values in their conversations and working together, because one's going to say, how was your weekend? How's your family? How's everything going? And the other one's going to be like, oh my gosh, let's just get to work. Why aren't they working enough? They're just talking all the time, right? Well, all that's happening is one is valuing people and one's valuing results. So one values practical and one values people. But when we work together and someone that has maybe high practical understands people better through the person that values people, then we really get some synergy going within the team. So one thing I learned some time ago is that everyone does the best they can with the thinking patterns they have. Everyone does the best they can with the thinking patterns they have. See, for someone's value system to be good, if they have a high empathy value, they need to be connecting with people all the time. And that's their value system. For someone that is a high practical, they need to be seeing results all the time. Just like someone with a high structure, they need to be seeing process and systems and rules being followed. When the rules are broken, their value system is tangled, it's messed up, right? So everyone has their own place that they're looking at where they're coming from, right? We've heard the expression that my perception is my perception, your perception is your perception. So let's take a look at some of these. So here's an example, actually a real example of a team. And as we flip through this a little bit and we start to look at what these graphs are, let me pull up the next one here. Give me a second. We start to see that everyone thinks in a different way, but we can see things in a visual format. So this is an example here of a bias within people. And notice how we've got that blue line down there at the bottom, and that's showing someone that devalues the importance of people, while up here on this side, we're seeing people that value people more, right? So now when I can look at this and say, oh, I see what happens. This person down here is devaluing people while this person up here is overvaluing. And that's important to know, because if I'm planning a function or something that I really want to get people's buy-in, who am I going to check with? I probably want to check with the people that have high attention to people and high clarity with people. So we can just scroll through here and start to look at patterns. One that I always like to look at right away with teams is to look at their frustration levels or that role awareness. And the reason for that is because when we see a high role awareness overall with the team, that their frustration levels are high, that is really important to look at that, because what that's indicating is that we're not reaching the potential of what could be compared to what's happening. And in this particular one, this is showing the mean. The mean means what's the average across the team. And when I look at this particular graph, it's showing a mean of -4 across this team, which means that the majority of the organization feels like they're not reaching the potential of what could be compared to what's currently happening. So what do we do about it? Really cool. When we do an on-site, one of the things we'll do is we'll hand out an envelope, and it shows everyone's scores, because the mind scan is based on mathematics. It's not based on a sampling of a population. So we'll put on the ground a line that represents the bias line from a -10 to a +10. And then we'll say, open up your envelope and stand on your number. So someone may be a +8, someone's a -3, and whatever it is, and they'll just stand there and they're virtually standing on their thinking. And it just imprints into our thinking a new way of thinking about thinking. And you can start to look at the line and understand, wow, I can see what's happening. That person really values people, and it's amazing. What does it mean? Like, what does it mean for our team? Or that person's more detached from what's happening with people. What does that mean? Or this person's more about results. Or this one, wow, that person's really frustrated. What is going on there? How do we have some conversation to understand that? So that's one thing that's really powerful, is to make a human bias line and stand on it. Another thing we do is hand out a blank mind scan, like just the picture without any of the actual circles there, because someone hadn't seen the results yet, and have them fill in who they think they are compared to who they actually are. And then they open up the results and see, wow, look at what I thought compared to who I am. That's a really good way to understand it. Another thing that we love to do in live events is we'll make posters of the summary pages, and we'll put them up on the wall and cover up the names, and we'll go around one poster at a time explaining how thinking works. And what's so neat about this is that I like to call it total exposure, or being vulnerable and real, is that we can look at each person's mind scan, their summary pages, understand thinking without knowing who's who, and then we try to guess who is who in the mind scans based on the posters. And then everyone brings home their posters or brings it to their office and usually hangs it in their office. So everyone becomes more aware that everyone is thinking in the best way they know based on their own thinking patterns. And it really helps us to start to value the entire team, because everyone thinks in a unique way. We've run over 200,000 mind scans so far to date. That's just from what we've done with Jack and myself and that space. And there's been millions of them run. I'm not aware of any mind scan that's ever been the same. You may look at one and say, oh, that's just like me, or that's just like that one. But when you really get down to the mathematics of it, which are those numbers to the right of the circles, that's the math, they're never the same. I mean, we've never seen a mind scan that's been the same. So a mind scan is as unique as a fingerprint. It's not comparing you to anyone. There's no sampling of a population, which is what the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the Colby, great tools, but they're personality tests. The mind scan is not a personality test. It's mathematically measuring your values. When you sort things from best to worst, those statements, it's calculating what is your sort of MRI or CAT scan of your thinking patterns. And when you get that picture, that's what shows up as a summary page. Then we can compare that to others in a graphical type format that gives us a much better perspective of how to work with teams. So congratulations, you've made it through all the way through session 9. The last one we're going to talk about, what can you do? Like, now that you have this information, maybe you have your mind scan or your summary page, what do you do? How can you be better at this? How can you improve yourself, your team? What do we do with all this information? All right, I'll see you next time for session 10. This is Coach Rich Campy, the Thinking Coach. Be blessed.